Before you step into a new week, before the first alarm sounds on Monday morning, I want you to consider this. I want you to truly pause and reflect on a fundamental question. How do you want that week to unfold? It is perhaps one of the most important questions you can ask yourself. And yet, it is the question most people never bother to ask at all. They just let the week come at them. They are passive recipients of circumstance. They wake up Monday morning, and whatever happens, happens. There is no plan. There is no preparation. There is no strategy. They have no design. They simply show up and react. They spend the next 7 days responding to emergencies, answering to the demands of others, and being pulled in a dozen different directions by the currents of the day. And then, come Friday evening or perhaps Sunday night, they wonder why things didn't go their way. They wonder why they feel so exhausted, so unfulfilled, so far behind on the things that truly matter to them. They wonder why the gap between the life they want and the life they have seems to grow wider, not narrower. They feel like a passenger on their own ship, tossed about by the waves, wondering when the wind will finally blow in their favor, not realizing they are the ones who were supposed to set the sail. So here is the key. Here is the fundamental shift in philosophy that changes everything. Do not let the week control you. You control the week. Do not let your life happen to you. You happen to your life. You must make a decision. Will you be the victim of your week, or will you be the architect of it? This is the great divide. It is the single greatest distinction between a life of success and a life of mediocrity. It is the choice between intention and accident. Let us examine these two philosophies, for that is what they are. They are two completely different ways of approaching your existence. The victim philosophy is the default setting for most of the world. It is the path of least resistance. The victim says, let's just see what happens. The victim says, I'll deal with it when it comes. The victim hopes for a good week. The victim wishes that problems won't arise. The victim blames Monday morning for their lack of energy, blames their boss for their workload, blames the traffic for being late, and blames bad luck for their lack of progress. The victim's language is one of reaction. I have to. I got pulled into. I didn't have time. They live in a world of external forces. To them, the week is something to be endured. But then there is the architect. The architect understands a profound truth. The future does not get better by hope. It gets better by design. The architect knows that the week is not a blank canvas to be splattered on by circumstance, but a blueprint to be drawn with intention. The architect does not hope for a good week. The architect plans for one. The architect sits down in the quiet moments before the week begins, and they think, what a powerful, human, and sadly underutilized capacity. They ask themselves, what do I want to accomplish? What is most important? What small steps this week will move me closer to my major goals? What obstacles can I anticipate? And how will I respond to them? The architect does not see the week as something to endure. They see it as something to build. Each day is a stone, each task a measurement. And by the end of the week, they have constructed something of value. They have built a monument to their own discipline. Now ask yourself, have you ever noticed how different you feel when you are prepared? Think about it. Think back to a time when you truly took the time to think things through before jumping into them. Maybe it was a major presentation, a difficult conversation, or even just a busy day that you planned out the night before. Isn't it amazing how much smoother things go? Isn't it remarkable the sense of confidence you feel when you know what you want and you have a clear plan on how you are going to get it? You operate from a place of power. You are not anxious. You are focused. You are not overwhelmed. You are in control. You walk into Monday morning not with dread, but with purpose. You have already defined what success looks like for that day. That is what we are talking about today. We are not here to discuss trivial hacks or shortcuts. We are here to discuss the philosophy of setting the stage for success before the week even begins. Because you see, success doesn't happen by accident. It is not a matter of luck. It is not something that just falls into your lap. Success is something you design. It is something you plan. It is the natural, predictable result of applying fundamental disciplines to your life, week after week. And the best way to start The very first discipline is by setting aside some time. You cannot design your week while you are in the middle of it. You cannot draw the blueprint while you are laying the foundation. You must step out of your life to work on your life. You must find that hour, perhaps on a Sunday evening, and dedicate it to the most important project you will ever manage, your own life. If you can take just a little bit of time, an hour of quiet, dedicated thought, to think through what you want to achieve, it's going to make all the difference. It will change how you feel when you wake up, and it will fundamentally change how you perform throughout the week. Most people will not do this. They will say they are too busy. Too busy for what? Too busy to plan. Too busy to design their own future. That is like a builder saying he is too busy laying bricks to look at the blueprint. The result is predictable. A weak, disorganized, and ultimately unstable structure. Your life is no different. This passivity, this failure to plan, is a tragedy. Because a week is not just a week. A week is a building block of your life. Your life, when you look back on it, will simply be a collection of the weeks you lived. How you live your weeks is how you live your life. If you drift through your weeks, you will drift through your life. If you waste your weeks, you will waste your life. Think of it this way. Imagine a great ship in a harbor. This ship is magnificent. It is strong. It is powerful. It is equipped to sail any ocean in the world. That ship is you. The victim philosophy leaves the ship tied to the dock. The weeks pass. The months pass. The years pass. The ship never leaves the harbor. It is safe. But it is not doing what it was built to do. It slowly rusts, decays, and becomes a forgotten relic. Or, perhaps worse, the victim philosophy unties the ship, but posts no captain at the wheel. There is no destination, no map, no hand on the rudder. The ship is pushed out to sea, and for 7 days, it is simply pushed around by the winds and the currents. The wind of public opinion, the current of popular culture, the storm of an unexpected emergency. The ship is moving. Yes, it is busy, but it is not going anywhere. It is simply reacting. The architect, however, the architect is the captain. The architect, before the journey begins, determines the destination. This is where I am going. They study the map. They anticipate the weather. They set the sail, and when the winds of circumstance blow, as they always will, the architect does not complain about the wind. The architect adjusts the sail. The wind of difficulty blows on us all. The wind of economy. The wind of personal challenge. The wind of unexpected opportunity. It is the same wind. The only thing that determines our arrival at our destination is not the wind, but the set of the sail. Your plan for the week, your preparation, your design. That is you setting your sail. Most people are busy, but they are not productive. They spend their time on the 80% of things that only produce 20% of the results. Why? Because they never took the time to identify the 20% that matters. They are lost in the weeds of the urgent and never make time for the important. This is why we are here. We are here to begin the process of becoming architects. We are here to learn the disciplines that allow us to design a life of substance, a life of achievement, a life of fulfillment. And it all begins with this choice. The choice to stop being a passive recipient of your days and to become the active creator of your future. It starts with the decision to take ownership. Today, we will be discussing the practical disciplines of that design. We will move from this core philosophy into the how. We will talk about the discipline of clarity, of knowing exactly what you want. We will discuss the discipline of design, of scheduling your priorities instead of prioritizing your schedule. We will explore the discipline of anticipation, of building in margin for the unexpected. We will cover the discipline of the mind, of setting your attitude before you set your agenda. And finally, we will touch on the discipline of review, because a life unexamined is a lesson unlearned. These disciplines are the tools of the architect. They are the skills of the captain. They are not complicated, but they are not easy. They require effort. They require consciousness. They require discipline. But the reward for this discipline is the greatest reward there is. It is the feeling of control. It is the satisfaction of progress. It is the profound, quiet joy of knowing that you are the one at the helm of your own life. So I ask you one more time, as we begin this journey, when this new week arrives, who will you be? The victim of circumstance, tossed about by the day, or the architect of your destiny, building a life of your own design? The choice is yours. Let us begin. We have made the decision. We have drawn the line in the sand. We have chosen to be the architect, not the victim. We have decided that our life will be a product of deliberate design, not a reaction to random chance. This is the great philosophical commitment, but a commitment without a tool is merely a wish. An architect cannot build without a blueprint. A captain cannot sail without a map and a compass. And the very first tool, the foundation of the blueprint, the starting point of the map, is the first and most crucial discipline of the successful life. The discipline of clarity. The first thing I want you to do before you start your week is get clear. Clarity is power. This is perhaps one of the most simple and yet most profoundly ignored truths of human achievement. A lot of people go into the week. They go into their very lives with vague goals. They are shrouded in a dense mental fog. If you ask them what they want from the next 7 days, they will give you abstract answers. They will say, I want to be successful. What does this mean? What does success look like? How is it measured? When will you know you have it? They say, I want to be healthy, a noble desire. But what does healthy mean for this week? Does it mean walking a mile? Does it mean running a marathon? Does it mean cutting out sugar? Does it mean scheduling a doctor's appointment? They say, I want to have a productive week. Productive in what way? Productive for whom? You see, these are not goals. These are wishes. They are clouds. They have no substance, no form, and you cannot build a life on a cloud. What happens when your goals are vague? Your efforts will be vague, and the results you get, they will, inevitably, be vague. A vague plan produces a vague life. It is the law. When you lack this clarity, when you have no real sense of what is truly important or what you need to focus on, you get lost. The original thought was getting lost in the weeds, and that is a perfect description of the modern human condition. You spend your time on things that don't really matter. You are down on your hands and knees, pulling at the tiny, insignificant weeds of your day. The constant ping of the email notification, the urgent request from a colleague that is not tied to any major goal, the social media feed that pulls you in for just a minute, the small, administrative tasks that feel good to check off a list because they are easy and immediate. You are busy. Oh, yes, you are very busy. You are moving. Your hands are dirty. You are sweating. If someone looked at you from a distance, they would say, that is a very busy person. But while you are busy pulling the weeds, the great oak tree you were meant to plant, the major project, the important conversation, the book you were meant to write, that one key task that could change everything, it sits there, its roots drying in the sun, unplanted. The important stuff gets pushed aside. This is the great trap of modern life. We have confused activity with achievement. We are busy, but we are not productive. Do you see the difference? It is the most important distinction you will ever make. The busy person is a hamster on a wheel. Lots of motion, lots of effort, lots of squeaking. But they end the day in the exact same place they started. The productive person is a stonemason. They may only lay 1 or 2 perfect stones a day. It doesn't look as frantic. It doesn't make as much noise. But at the end of the week, they have a wall. At the end of the month, they have a foundation. And at the end of the year, they have a cathedral. The busy person has a spinning wheel. The productive person has a legacy. This is the difference between activity and accomplishment. And it all begins with the clarity to know which stone to lay and which patch of weeds to ignore. So, how do we find these stones? How do we separate the weeds from the oak tree? This brings us to a remarkable principle. One that, once you see it, you will see it everywhere in your life. It is the idea that 80% of your results will come from 20% of your efforts. Think about that. A small percentage of the things you do will give you the majority of your results. This is not just a business theory. This is a law of life. 20% of your customers will provide 80% of your revenue. 20% of your habits will create 80% of your health and vitality. 20% of your relationships will provide 80% of your joy and fulfillment. And on the other side, 20% of your problems will cause 80% of your stress. 20%. This is the law of the vital few and the trivial many. The problem is, as the transcript so rightly stated, most people spend their time on the 80% of things that only produce 20% of the results. They major in minor things. They spend their days on the trivial many and ignore the vital few. Why? Why do we do this? It is a human tendency. We do it because the 80%, the trivial tasks, are easy. They are fast. They don't require deep thought. They don't carry the risk of failure. Answering 20 emails feels like progress. It gives you a quick, satisfying sensation of, I did something. But writing one difficult page of a business plan, making the one difficult phone call to a major client, having the one courageous conversation with a family member, that is hard. That requires focus. That requires emotional energy. That requires courage. And so we procrastinate on the 20%. And we fill our days with the 80%. And we call it being busy. But it is a delusion. It is the most dangerous form of self-deception. Because you are trading your one precious life for a feeling of accomplishment, rather than for actual accomplishment. Your first job as the architect of your week is to get clear on what really matters. You must, as an act of intellectual and emotional discipline, identify that 20%. This is why I'm telling you right now, you have got to take a moment. Before the week begins, you must sit down in a quiet room with a blank piece of paper or a new document. And you must think. You must get clear. Ask yourself, what are the most important things I must get done this week? What are the key tasks that, if accomplished, will move me closer to my major goals? What are the vital few? It doesn't have to be a long list. In fact, I recommend keeping it short. This is not your to-do list. A to-do list is a collection of every weed you can possibly think of pulling. A to-do list is a recipe for overwhelm. It is a list of activity. No, I want you to create a success list. A success list contains just a few things. Maybe it is 3 things. Maybe it is 5. But these are the things that are going to make a real difference. That is where your energy needs to go. These are the stones, not the sand. These are the 20%. You must have the wisdom to identify them and the courage to ignore everything else until those are done. This is the essence of clarity. It is not just knowing what to do. It is knowing what not to do. It is knowing what to let wait. It is knowing which weeds to let grow, so you can plant your tree. It is knowing which emails to ignore, which meetings to decline, and which small fires to let burn themselves out, so you can focus on building the firebreak that protects the whole city. This is executive level thinking, and you are the chief executive of your own life. And here is something else to keep in mind. A hard truth that the architect must accept. You do not have unlimited energy. You just don't. You are not a machine. You are a biological being. You wake up in the morning with a finite amount of high-quality mental, emotional, and physical energy. You are a battery. Let us say you start the day with 100%. The question is not how you will spend that energy. You will spend it. The question is where you will invest it. Will you invest that precious, high-quality morning energy, your 100%, on the trivial 80%? Will you spend it checking email, scrolling feeds, and reacting to other people's minor emergencies? If you do, by 0 a.m., your battery is at 40%. And now, when it is time to finally face that one major 20% task, you have nothing left. You have no deep focus. You have no willpower. You have no creative energy. And you say, I'll do it tomorrow. And tomorrow, the cycle repeats. This is how lives are wasted. This is how potential goes to the grave. You must be smart about where you focus that energy. You must be ruthless. You must protect your 100% and invest it. First, in the tasks that matter. The architect gives their best energy to their most important work. The victim gives their energy to whoever, or whatever, screams the loudest. If you waste your energy on things that don't really matter, you will not have much left for the things that do. You must be a guardian of your own focus. When you have this clarity, when you have identified your vital few and you have committed your best energy to them, something magical happens. Your energy transforms. Think of a 100-watt light bulb. It is useful. It can light up a small room, but its energy is diffused. It spreads out in all directions. It is unfocused. This is the life of vague goals. This is the busy person. Now, take that same 100 watts of energy and focus it. Focus it down to a single, coherent beam of light. What do you have? You have a laser. And that same 100 watts of energy, once diffused, can now cut through steel. That is the power of clarity. That is the power of focus. That is what happens when you stop scattering your energy across 100 little things and you become laser focused on the handful of tasks that matter. You stop being a light bulb. You become a laser. You stop just lighting the room and you start changing the room. You start cutting through obstacles that once seemed impossible. This is what it means to be productive. It is not about doing more things. It is about doing the right things with such intensity that they create disproportionate results. This, my friends, is the discipline of clarity. It is the first non-negotiable step. It is the work you do before the work. It is the thinking that precedes the action. It is the act of defining the target so you know where to aim. You cannot have an effective week without it. You cannot build a meaningful life without it. You must stop. You must think. You must separate the trivial from the vital. You must identify your 20%. You must write down your short, powerful success list. You must decide, with intention, where your precious energy will be invested. Because once you are clear, once you have this laser focus, then, and only then, are you ready for the second discipline. Once you know what to do, you are ready to decide when to do it. And that brings us to our next fundamental discipline for the architect, the discipline of design. After you have gotten clear on your priorities, the next step is to get organized. You have to design your week. You know, one of the most frustrating things in life, one of the primary reasons people give up on their goals, is that feeling of being overwhelmed. It is that suffocating feeling that there is simply too much to do and not enough time to do it. And the reason most people feel this way is because they don't take the time to get organized. They let tasks pile up. They keep everything in their head. Their mind is not a sanctuary for deep thought. It is a chaotic storage closet, full of unfinished tasks, worries, and obligations, all screaming for attention at the same time. They lose track of what needs to be done. And before they know it, they are buried under a mountain of unfinished work. They look at the mountain and they are paralyzed. They don't know where to start. So, they do nothing. Or, they do the easiest thing, which is usually the least important. But here's the good news. It doesn't have to be that way. This feeling of overwhelm is not a fact. It is a feeling, and it is a feeling born from a lack of a plan. If you can take just a little time, that same quiet hour you used for clarity, and organize your tasks, to break them down into manageable steps, you're going to feel a whole lot better. You see, a mountain, when viewed as a single, massive object, is impossible to move. But a mountain broken down into individual, manageable stones, with a plan to move one stone at a time, is just a project. A long list of tasks is overwhelming, but a prioritized, scheduled list of tasks is a path. It is a roadmap. You will have a clear path to follow, and that sense of overwhelm will start to disappear. Now, when I say get organized, I am not talking about making some fancy, color-coded, minute-by-minute schedule that will break the instant reality hits. I am not talking about spending hours sorting through paperwork. I am talking about something simple, something fundamental. Grab a piece of paper, the one you used for your clarity list. You have your 3 or 4 or 5 vital few tasks written at the top. Now, under each of those major tasks, break them down. What are the steps required to complete them? If your task is write the business proposal, what are the steps? Research competitors, draft the executive summary, outline the financials, write the first draft, edit and proofread. Suddenly, write the proposal is no longer a giant, intimidating monster. It is a series of 5 manageable steps. You have broken the mountain down into stones. After you have broken down your vital few, then you can list out all the other things. The 80%, the trivial many, the emails you need to send, the calls you need to return, the errands you need to run. Get them all out of your head and onto the paper. Now you have a master list for the week. And now you must do the most critical part of this entire discipline. You must prioritize them. You must decide what needs to be done first. What can wait? What is urgent? And what is important? This is the great battle of your life. This is the war that is waged every single day. The battle between the urgent and the important. Most of us spend our time on urgent things. The urgent things are loud. They demand our immediate attention. The phone is ringing. The email is flashing. The person is standing at your doorway. These things are screaming for your attention now. They are reactive. They make you feel busy. They make you feel needed. But often, if you look closely, these are not the things that really matter in the long run. These are the weeds, the important things, the things that will move the needle on your goals. The vital few you identified. They tend to get pushed aside. Why? Because they are not screaming for your attention. The important things are quiet. Writing that proposal doesn't have a notification bell. Exercising for an hour doesn't send you an urgent email. Reading a book to improve your skills doesn't knock on your door. They are quiet. They are proactive. And because they are not screaming, we tell ourselves, I'll get to that later. I'll do that when I have time. After I clear out all these urgent things. And what happens? Later never comes. The urgent things are like a flood. They will always expand to fill the time you give them. You spend your entire day, your entire week, your entire life in reaction mode. You are a firefighter, running from one small fire to the next, and you never, ever get around to building the firehouse. You are so busy responding to the demands of the day that you never make time for the demands of your future. So, you must make time for those important tasks. You must give a voice to the things that matter. And how do you do that? You schedule them. Listen to me closely on this. This is one of the most profound truths I have ever learned. If you do not schedule your time, someone else will. If you do not have a plan for your day, you will, by default, become a part of someone else's plan. Your boss has a plan for your time. Your colleagues have a plan for your time. Your clients have a plan for your time. Even advertisers on television, they have a plan for your time and your money. They are all very happy to fill your schedule with their priorities. If you start your day with a blank schedule, you have told the world, time is available for the highest bidder. My agenda is open. Whoever has the most urgent request wins. You have become a servant to the agendas of others. I once heard someone say, show me your calendar, and I'll show you your priorities. Isn't that interesting? If you want to know what someone really values, do not listen to what they say they value. Do not listen to their speeches or their New Year's resolutions. Just look at how they spend their time. Look at their calendar. Your calendar is a biographical document. It is a theological statement. It tells the world what your gods are. It tells the world what you truly worship. If you say, my family is my highest priority, but there is no time scheduled for them on your calendar, is it true? If you say, my health is my wealth, but go to the gym or prepare healthy meals never appears as a scheduled block, is it true? If you say, this major project is critical to my career, but it is not on your calendar, will it get done? No. What is on your calendar is what you value. What is not on your calendar is what you are willing to sacrifice. So here is what I want you to do. Before the week begins, sit down with your calendar. Whether it is a paper book or a digital app, it does not matter. This is your tool of design. Look at your success list, your vital few, the 20% that matters. And now, give them a home. Block out time for them. Put them on your calendar first, before anything else, before the urgent meetings, before the trivial many. If write the business proposal is a key task, you block out time. Tuesday, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m., deep work on business proposal. And when I say block out time, I mean you must actually write it down, put it on your calendar, and then you must treat it like an appointment with yourself. In fact, you must treat it as the most important appointment of your week. Think about this. If you had an appointment with your most important client, would you just not show up? If you had a flight to catch for a vacation, would you just forget and let yourself get distracted by email? Of course not. You would honor that commitment. Why? Then, do we find it so easy to dishonor the appointments we make with ourselves? Why do we treat the commitments to our own future with such disrespect? You will get distracted. You will get pulled into other people's agendas. Life will get in the way. And when someone asks, "Can you join this meeting at 9 a.m. on Tuesday?" you must have the discipline to look at your calendar and say, "I'm sorry. I have a prior commitment at that time." That commitment is to you. That commitment is to your future. That commitment is to your goals. This is the discipline of design. It is the act of deciding in advance what matters and building a structure, a fortress to protect it. And do not just schedule your work. Schedule time for yourself too. This is not selfish. It is essential. You must schedule your health. Put gym or walk on the calendar. You must schedule your relationships. Put date night or family dinner. No phones on the calendar. If you do not, you are telling your family and your health, you get the leftovers. You get whatever time is remaining after I have served the urgent demands of the world. That is a recipe for a bankrupt life. You cannot pour from an empty cup. If you don't take care of yourself, you're not going to be much good to anyone else. You have got to make sure you're staying healthy, physically, mentally, emotionally. That means setting aside time to exercise, to relax, to think, to read, to connect with the people who matter most to you. These are not nice to haves. These are the important. These are your vital few. They belong on your calendar first. This is your blueprint. Clarity told you what to build. Design gives you the when and the where. You have taken your vital few and you have given them a non-negotiable place in your week. You have looked at the empty, chaotic void of the next 7 days, and you have given it structure. You have given it intention. You have replaced chance with a plan. And when you do this, that feeling of overwhelm fades. It is replaced by a feeling of control. It is replaced by a feeling of focus. You know exactly what you need to do, and you know exactly when you are going to do it. But, as any great architect will tell you, a blueprint is only a plan. It is a plan for a perfect world, and we do not live in a perfect world. A plan that cannot bend will break. A schedule that has no flexibility will shatter the moment the first unexpected challenge arrives. And that is why, after we have designed our week, we must move to the third discipline. We must learn to become a master of reality. Not just a master of the plan. We must prepare for the unexpected. We must learn the discipline of anticipation. We have just covered the first two. Foundational disciplines. The clarity to know what matters. And the design to know when it will get done. You now have the blueprint for a perfect week. But we both know, a blueprint is not the building. You must face the friction of the real world. In the next part, we will discuss the master-level disciplines of how to handle the unexpected. If this philosophy is resonating with you, if you are finding value in this deep dive into the principles of personal architecture, I invite you to subscribe to this channel. We are building a community of architects here, not victims. We explore these principles of success, discipline, and the philosophies of masters like Jim Rohn every single week. Join us. Click that subscribe button, and let's continue. We have done the work that most people will never do. We have achieved clarity, separating the vital few from the trivial many. We have then practiced the discipline of design, taking those vital few and making them the non-negotiable cornerstones of our week, building a fortress on our calendar to protect them. We have a plan. We have a blueprint. It is precise. It is organized. It is impressive. And for the amateur, this is where the work ends. The amateur falls in love with his plan. He believes the map is the territory. He creates a perfect schedule, a work of art, where every single minute, from morning to night, is accounted for. He has scheduled his work. He has scheduled his health. He has scheduled his family. There is not a single moment left to chance, and he feels a profound, but false, sense of control. He has built a perfect, Rahid, beautiful tower of glass. And then, on Monday morning, reality hits. Life does not always go according to plan. In fact, let us be honest, life rarely goes exactly according to plan. There are going to be interruptions. There are going to be unexpected challenges. The client meeting that was supposed to take 30 minutes takes 90. The commute that was supposed to take 20 minutes takes an hour due to an accident. Your child wakes up with a fever. A key employee quits. A sudden, unexpected crisis lands on your desk that must be handled. This is not pessimism. This is not a negative mindset. This is reality. This is the weather. This is the friction of the world. And what happens when the friction of reality hits that beautiful, rigid glass tower? What happens when your schedule is packed from morning to night, with no room for flexibility? And something unexpected comes up, the entire structure shatters. The first interruption does not just delay one task. It creates a domino effect that destroys the entire day. You get stressed. You get frustrated. You feel like everything is falling apart because your 9 a.m. appointment ran long. You are late for your 10 a.m. because you missed your 10 a.m. block. You have to push your 11 a.m. task, but you have a meeting at 12. Suddenly, your entire perfect day is in ruins by lunchtime, and you feel that familiar, sinking feeling of being derailed. You are overwhelmed, anxious, and angry. You are right back to being a victim of your circumstances. Only now, you are a victim who is also angry at yourself for failing to follow your own perfect plan. You have designed a system that is brittle, and a brittle system is guaranteed to break. This is why the master architect, the professional, practices the third, and perhaps most sophisticated discipline, the discipline of anticipation. The professional does not build a glass tower. The professional builds a skyscraper. And what is the defining feature of a skyscraper? It is not just its height. It is its flexibility. A skyscraper is designed to sway in the wind. It is built to absorb the shocks of the earth. It survives, not because it is rigid, but because it is resilient. Your week must be designed the same way. You must build in flexibility. You must, as the original thought so simply stated, leave some margin. What do I mean by margin? Margin is not empty time. Margin is not wasted time. Margin is not unproductive time. Margin is strategic time. It is intelligent time. It is the breathing room in your schedule. It is the shock absorber for your life. You would not drive a car without suspension, would you? You would feel every single bump in the road. It would be an agonizing, bone-jarring ride. Why? Then, do you attempt to drive your life without any suspension? A schedule that is packed from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. with back-to-back, minute-by-minute tasks is a life without suspension. You are guaranteeing that you will feel every single tiny bump in the road as a major, painful jolt. The professional understands this. So, the professional builds in margin. Instead of scheduling a meeting from 9 to 10 and his next task from 10 to 11, he schedules the meeting from 9 to 9:45, and he leaves the 15 minutes from 9:45 to 10 as margin. What is this 15 minutes for? It is for anything. If the meeting runs long, he is not stressed. He has the buffer. He can handle it with grace. If the meeting ends on time, he now has 15 minutes to review his notes. Get a glass of water, walk around, think, and prepare for his next major task. He arrives at his 10-task calm, prepared, and focused, not frantic, late, and flustered. He has built resilience into his day. Do not be afraid to leave this breathing room in your schedule. It is going to make all the difference. It is the difference between being driven by your schedule and using your schedule. It is the difference between a life of chronic stress and a life of controlled performance. Let us think about this in another context that everyone understands. Money. What is financial margin? We call it savings. We call it an emergency fund. We all instinctively understand that it is unintelligent to spend every single dollar you earn. If you have no savings, what happens when an unexpected challenge arrives? The car breaks down. The roof leaks. You are hit with a medical bill. What happens? A panic. A crisis. You go into debt. You are stressed. You are ruined by a single, unexpected event. But if you have an emergency fund, if you have margin, what happens? The car breaks down. It is an inconvenience, not a catastrophe. You handle it. You pay the bill. And you move on. Your life is not derailed. Why? Then, do we understand this so clearly with our money, but we fail to apply the same exact, profound logic to our time? Time is infinitely more valuable than money. You can always get more money. You can never get more time. Why would you live on the razor's edge? Why would you spend every single minute of your time leaving no emergency fund for your day? It is a foolish way to live. The discipline of anticipation is the act of creating a time savings account. It is the act of strategically leaving unaccounted for time in your schedule. But this discipline goes even deeper. Margin is not just for negative surprises. It is not just for handling the unexpected challenges. Margin is also what allows you to seize unexpected opportunities. What happens when your perfect back-to-back schedule is running and an amazing opportunity appears? A key leader in your industry happens to be in town, but they can only meet for coffee in 30 minutes. A passionate, talented person you have been trying to recruit calls you out of the blue, but they need to talk now. A sudden insight strikes you. A brilliant solution to a problem you have been wrestling with for months. But you need an hour to sit down and flesh it out. If your schedule is packed, if you have no margin, what must you say? I can't. You have to let the opportunity pass you by. Your perfectly productive schedule has actually made you unproductive. You are so in the system that you cannot see the system. You are so busy following the blueprint that you cannot take advantage of the sudden discovery of gold on your own property. The professional, the master architect, understands that the greatest successes in life often come not from the plan itself, but from the ability to deviate from the plan intelligently. Margin gives you the capacity to do that. It gives you the space to say yes to the right opportunity. It gives you the mental breathing room to have that brilliant idea and act on it. So how do we build this in? We build it in by not being afraid of white space on our calendar. We build it in by scheduling buffer zones between our major commitments. We build it in by scheduling thinking time. Blocks of time that have no agenda other than to think, to review, to plan, to create. We build it in by ending our workday at a specific time, allowing for a margin of rest and recovery, which prepares us for the next day. We build it in by underscheduling our days, by planning to accomplish only our vital few and treating everything else as a bonus, rather than trying to cram 20 tasks into a day that can only realistically hold 5. This is the mark of the mature professional. The amateur tries to impress you with how busy he is, how back-to-back his meetings are. The professional is impressive in her calm. She is impressive in her ability to handle chaos with grace. She is impressive in her ability to have time to think, to make wise decisions, not just fast ones. This discipline, this anticipation, this strategic use of margin is the bridge that makes your entire system work. It connects your rigid design, part 2, to reality. And more importantly, it creates the emotional and mental space necessary for the next. Critical discipline. You cannot have a positive mindset if you are constantly stressed, frantic, and running late. Your schedule is creating your anxiety. But if you have margin, if you have breathing room, if you feel in control, even when the unexpected happens, then you have created the fertile soil for a powerful state of mind. You have prepared yourself, not just on paper, but emotionally, to win the day. That is why, after you have built your resilient plan, there is one more thing you need to do before you begin your week. You must get your mindset right, and that is the foundation upon which everything else is built. We have come a long way on this journey. We have made the profound philosophical choice to be the architect, not the victim. We have embraced the first discipline, the intellectual work of clarity, to identify the vital 20% that truly matters. We have used the second discipline, the structural work of design, to build a fortress for those priorities on our calendar. And we have just discussed the third discipline, the practical wisdom of anticipation, of building in margin and flexibility, so that our plan can bend without breaking. We have built a resilient system. We have a plan that is not a brittle tower of glass, but a strong skyscraper, designed to sway with the winds of reality. We have the map, which is our clarity. We have the vehicle, which is our design. And we have the suspension, which is our margin. But now, we must discuss the one element that determines whether this journey even begins. We must discuss the fuel for the engine. We must discuss the driver in the seat. After you have gotten clear on your priorities, organized your tasks, and scheduled your time with flexibility, there is one more thing you need to do before you begin your week. And I tell you this with all the conviction in my heart. This final discipline is the one upon which all the others stand or fall. You must get your mindset right. This is the discipline of the mind. All other disciplines are external. They are about managing things, managing tasks, managing time, managing schedules. This discipline is internal. It is about managing you. You can have the greatest plan in the world. You can have the most perfect, color-coded, flexible schedule ever devised by man. But if you wake up on Monday morning with a defeated, negative, and cynical attitude, that plan is worthless. It is just ink on paper. It is a blueprint for a house that will never be built, because the builder refuses to pick up the hammer. I am telling you, your attitude is going to determine how your week goes. Your philosophy is the single greatest determining factor in the quality of your life. Life is not what happens to us. Life is what we do with what happens to us. The winds of circumstance blow on us all. The wind of economy, the wind of difficulty, the wind of unexpected challenges, the wind of betrayal, the wind of opportunity. It is the same wind. It blows on the successful and the unsuccessful. It blows on the architect and the victim. The only thing that determines our arrival at our destination is not the wind, but the set of the sail. Your mindset is the set of your sail. If you go into the week with a negative mindset, thinking about all the problems, all the things that could go wrong, all the reasons it will be hard, all the difficult people you have to deal with, guess what? You have just given your brain a search query. You have just programmed your mind to look for evidence to prove you right. And your mind, like a loyal servant, will go to work. And it will find those problems. It will attract those challenges. You will see every small inconvenience as a major catastrophe. You will interpret every neutral comment as a personal attack. You will see every challenge not as an obstacle to overcome, but as a confirmation that you're weak and your life is destined to be a failure. You will create the very reality you feared. That is the power of a negative focus. But if you go into the week with a positive mindset, expecting things to go well, looking for opportunities instead of obstacles, seeking solutions instead of complaining about problems, you are going to have a much better experience. You have given your brain a different search query. You have programmed your mind to look for the good, to find the opening, to see the solution. And your mind, again, like a loyal servant, will find it. Now, I must be very clear. I am not talking about blind optimism here. I am not saying you should ignore reality or pretend that challenges don't exist. That is not the architect's way. That is the fool's way. The fool sits in a field and wishes for a harvest. That is not a strategy. That is delusion. What I am saying is that you must train yourself to focus on the good. You must train yourself to see the possibilities within the reality. This is the difference. The negative mind sees a problem and says, "It is finished. This is terrible. It is over." The positive, pragmatic mind sees the same problem and says, "This is a challenge. How do I solve it? What is the opportunity here? What can I learn from this?" The problem is the same. The response is what changes the outcome. You must understand this. What you focus on expands. This is not magic. This is a fundamental law of human consciousness. Have you ever decided you wanted to buy a specific model of car, a red car? Let's say you had not really noticed them before. But the moment you decided that was the car you wanted, what happened? You saw them everywhere. You saw them on the highway, in the parking lot, in your neighborhood. Did the number of red cars on the road suddenly increase overnight? Of course not. What changed? Your focus changed. You tuned your mind to a new frequency. You gave your brain a new target to look for. The same is true for opportunity. The same is true for solutions. The same is true for things to be grateful for. And the same is true for problems. They are all around you, all the time. The question is, what are you tuned into? What are you looking for? The discipline of the mind is the active, conscious, daily work of standing guard at the door of your mind. You are the guardian. You decide what thoughts you will allow to enter and take root. You are the master of your own mental factory, or your own mental garden. Will you allow the seeds of doubt and fear and cynicism to be planted? If you do, you will reap a harvest of weeds and poison. Or will you consciously, deliberately, plant the seeds of discipline and optimism and gratitude? If you do, you will reap a harvest of success and fulfillment. Most people do not do this. They leave the door to their mind wide open. They let anyone and anything wander in. The negative report on the news, the complaining, cynical colleague at work, the endless, toxic scrolling on social media, the echoes of past failures. They let all this poison in, unchecked, and then they wonder why they feel anxious and negative and powerless. They wonder why their perfect plan for the week fell apart. It fell apart because their internal world, their mindset, was already contaminated. So, how do we practice this discipline? It is one thing to say, be positive. It is another to do it, especially when the winds are blowing. It starts with a simple, practical, and profound tool. One of the best ways to get your mindset right is to start the week and to start every day with gratitude. Take a moment before the week begins. Before you even look at your plan, before you look at your phone, take a moment and reflect on the things you are grateful for. Write them down if you can. It does not have to be a long list. What are you grateful for? Your health, the roof over your head, the family you have, the opportunity you have to design your week, the very challenge that is in front of you, which is a disguised opportunity to grow stronger, because gratitude is a powerful thing. When you are in a state of genuine gratitude, it is chemically, biologically, and emotionally impossible to be simultaneously stressed, or angry, or overwhelmed. You cannot be in a state of appreciation and a state of fear at the same time. One cancels out the other. Stress, anxiety, and overwhelm all come from a place of lack. I don't have enough time. I don't have enough resources. I am not enough. Gratitude comes from a place of abundance. I have enough. I am enough. I have this opportunity. Gratitude is the antidote. It is the great reset button for the human mind. Gratitude puts things in perspective. It reminds you that no matter what challenges you are facing, no matter how difficult the 20% task on your calendar looks, there is always something to be thankful for. And when you start from that place, when you start your week anchored in that sense of gratitude, with that positive, pragmatic mindset, you are going to approach everything differently. You are going to be more resourceful. A mind focused on lack says, I cannot do this. I do not have the right tool. A mind focused on gratitude and opportunity says, what do I have? And how can I use it to make this work? You are going to be more resilient. A negative mind hits that unexpected interruption, that friction we talked about, and says, see, I knew it. The whole week is ruined. I give up. The positive, grateful mind hits that same interruption. And because you built in margin, and because your mind is right, you say, this is part of the process. This is the wind. I will adjust my sail. And you are going to be more creative. When your mind is in a state of stress and negativity, it is in fight or flight mode. It shuts down access to the highest, most creative parts of your brain. It can only see the problem. But when your mind is calm, positive, and in a state of gratitude, you have access to your full intelligence. You can see the solutions that are invisible to the stressed out mind. This is the foundation. Your clarity, your design, your margin, they are all just tools. Your mindset is the hand that wields them. This is the discipline that brings the architect's plan to life. It is the spirit, the energy, the will to build. Without it, you are just a victim with a nice-looking schedule. With it, you are an unstoppable force. So, before your week begins, stand guard at the door of your mind. Choose your focus and start with gratitude. Because if you get your mind right, you can handle anything the week throws at you. And this mindset is not just crucial for starting the week. It is the only thing that makes the final discipline, the discipline of review, even possible. Because you cannot learn from your failures if you are in a mindset that sees failure as final. You must have this mindset to find the lesson. We have journeyed through the architecture of a well-lived week. We have committed to being the architect, not the victim. We have done the hard intellectual work of clarity, finding our vital few. We have done the structural work of design, building a fortress for those priorities on our calendar. We have embraced the wisdom of anticipation, weaving the resilience of margin into our plan. And we have established the absolute necessity of the mindset, the internal discipline of gratitude and focus that fuels the entire endeavor. And now, we arrive at the final, and perhaps most neglected, discipline. We arrive at the moment that separates the amateur from the professional, the person who experiences life from the person who grows from it. We have talked about how to prepare for the week. We must now talk about how to profit from it. This is the discipline of review. Now, what happens for most people at the end of the week? Friday evening, or perhaps Saturday, they close the book, they shut down the computer, and they say, I am done. Thank goodness that is over. They dive into distraction. They seek relief. They want to forget. The week is finished. And they move on. And in that moment of moving on, they throw away the most valuable prize of the entire week. They throw away the lesson. A week that is lived, but not reviewed, is a week that is lost. A week without a plan is a week wasted. But a week without a review is a lesson missed. And if you miss the lesson, what are you guaranteeing? You are guaranteeing that you will be forced to repeat the class. You are dooming yourself to relive the same frustrations, the same mistakes, the same stresses. Next week, and the week after that, and the week after that. You see, most people are not gaining 20 years of experience in their careers. They are gaining 1 year of experience. 20 times over. They keep making the same mistakes, hitting the same walls, and feeling the same frustrations, year after year, because they have never mastered the discipline of standing back, looking at the results, and asking the hard questions. They are so busy living their life that they never take the time to examine their life. The architect does not do this. The architect understands that the work is not finished when the last brick is laid. The work is finished when the structure has been inspected. The farmer does not just throw seed and walk away. At the end of the harvest, he reviews. He walks the fields. He asks, where did the soil yield the most? Why? What was the combination of seed, water, and sun? He also asks, where did the crop fail? Where did the pests get in? Where did the weeds take over? Why? And based on this review, he does not just hope for a better harvest next year. He designs one. He adjusts. He says, next year, I will plant more of this in that soil. I will build a stronger fence in this location. I will change my watering schedule. He turns his experience into equity. He converts his results into wisdom. This is what you must do with your week. At the end of the week, before you begin planning the next one, you must set aside one final, sacred hour. This is your review hour. This is the time you dedicate to inspecting your own work. And you must bring the right mindset to this review. You must bring the mindset we discussed earlier, not a mindset of blame or shame or frustration, not the victim's mindset, which looks for excuses. This went wrong because of my boss. This failed because of the traffic. This did not happen because I had no time. That is useless. You must bring the architect's mindset, a mindset of cool, calm, detached curiosity, a mindset of 100% personal responsibility. You are not here to judge yourself. You are here to learn from yourself. You are here to find the lesson, not to assign the blame. So, you sit down with your plan from the beginning of the week, your clarity list of your vital few, your designed calendar, and you ask yourself four simple, powerful questions. The first question is, what worked well? We always start here. This is not about ego. This is not about self-congratulation. This is about analysis. You must know why you succeeded, so you can repeat it. Success is not an accident, and you must treat it as a science. Look at your wins for the week. Did you complete that major project? Your number one vital few? Yes? Good. Why? How did it happen? Look at your calendar. Was it because you truly honored that 2-hour block of deep work you scheduled on Tuesday morning as part of your discipline of design? Was it because you shut your door, turned off your phone, and protected that time? If so, the lesson is, protected blocks of deep work are the key to my major goals. You must identify that. You must write it down. You must build more of that into your next week. Did you handle an unexpected crisis with calm? Why? Was it because you had practiced the discipline of anticipation and left margin in your afternoon, so the crisis did not derail you? If so, the lesson is, my margin is my sanity. It is not empty time. It is my shock absorber. You must identify what is working, so you can systematize it. You must capture the formula for your own success. After you have analyzed your successes, you ask the second, more difficult question, where did my discipline fail? Notice the language. The question is not, what went wrong? That is a passive victim question. The question is, where did my discipline fail? This is an active, architectic question. It assumes ownership. Look at your clarity list. That one vital few task that did not get done. Why? Be an honest detective. Look at your calendar. Did you schedule it? If not, your discipline of design failed. You did not give your priority a home. Or, did you schedule it, but when the time came, well, you ignored it? You let yourself get pulled into email, the trivial many, the 80%. If so, your discipline of clarity and your discipline of mindset failed. You knew what was important, but you lacked the will to honor it. You must be honest about that. Did you feel overwhelmed, stressed, and frantic all week? Why? Look at your schedule. Was it packed back to back? Did you leave no margin? If so, your discipline of anticipation failed. You built a brittle glass tower, and reality shattered it. You must look at the failure of the system, not the failure of the person. You are not a bad person. You had a bad system. The review is where you find the flaw in the system. This leads to the third question, which is the entire purpose of the review. What did I learn? This is the goal. This is the gold. The output of your review is not a list of successes and failures. The output is a list of lessons. A lesson is wisdom. A failure is just an event. A failure plus an honest review equals a lesson. An experience that is not reviewed is just a story. An experience that is reviewed is wisdom. So, you look at your answers from questions 1 and 2. I learned that when I schedule my vital few first thing in the morning, they always get done. That is a lesson. I learned that if I do not build in 5-minute buffers between my meetings, my entire day falls apart by lunch. That is a lesson. I learned that my discipline of mindset is weakest in the afternoon, and I am easily distracted. That is when I let the trivial many in. That is a lesson. I learned that I said yes to 3 things that were not on my clarity list, and it cost me my most important goal. That is a lesson. You write these lessons down. This is your wisdom. This is your personal profit from the week. This is the equity you are building in yourself. And that brings you to the 4th and final question. The question that closes the loop and begins the cycle anew. What will I do differently? A lesson that does not lead to a change in behavior is not a lesson at all. It is just a theory. It is an observation. Wisdom is not what you know. Wisdom is what you do with what you know. So, based on your lessons, what is the adjustment? This is the farmer deciding where to build the new fence. This is the captain adjusting the sail. Your adjustment might be, next week, I will schedule my one most important task from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. every morning, before I open my email. Your adjustment might be, next week, I will build in a 30-minute margin block in the afternoon to handle the unexpected. Your adjustment might be, next week, when someone asks me for something, I will pause and compare it to my clarity list before I say yes. This adjustment, this new action, becomes the very first input for your clarity and design for the next week. And now, the loop is complete. You have taken the results of the past week and used them to design a superior next week. This is how you grow. This is how you compound your success. The person who does this, who practices this 30-minute review every week, is on a geometric curve of improvement. The person who does not is on a flat, or even decaying, line. In 1 year, the person who reviews will not be 52 steps ahead. They will be 52 times better. They will be living in a completely different reality. They will seem lucky. They will seem talented. But they are not. They are just a professional. They are an architect who not only designs the building, but also inspects the foundation and learns from every single crack and every strong support. This is the ultimate discipline. It is the discipline that ensures all the others are working. It is the ultimate act of self-respect. It is the final promise you keep to yourself, that your past will serve you, not define you, that your experience will be converted to wisdom, and that your future will be better than your past. Not by chance, but by design. This is the work. This is how you become the master of your week. And in doing so, how you become the master of your life. So, we have come to the end of our time together, but we have come to the beginning of a new way of living. We have dissected the anatomy of a life lived by design. We began with the most fundamental question, the choice that defines every day you are alive. Will you be the architect, or will you be the victim? Will you be the one who draws the blueprint, or the one who is tossed about by the circumstances of the day? Will you be the captain who sets the sail, or the passenger who complains about the wind? We have made the choice. We have chosen the path of the architect, the path of responsibility, the path of power. But a choice without a methodology is just a wish. A philosophy without a discipline is just a theory. So we have laid out the 5 fundamental disciplines, the very framework of the architect. We began with the intellectual work, the discipline of clarity. We learned to cut through the fog of the trivial many, the 80% of activities that produce almost no results. We learn to identify, with laser focus, the vital few, the 20% of actions that create 80% of our success. We learn that being busy and being productive are not the same thing. We learn that the first act of the architect is to know, with absolute precision, what matters. Then, we move from the what to the when. We embrace the discipline of design. We learn that a priority without a place on our calendar is not a priority at all. It is a casualty. We learn that if you do not have a plan for your time, you will become a part of someone else's plan. We learn to take our vital few, our most important stones, and to place them on the calendar first. We learn to build a fortress of time around our health, our relationships, and our most important work. We learn to stop prioritizing our schedule and to start scheduling our priorities. We learned to look at our calendar not as a list of things to do, but as a biographical document of what we truly value. From there, we faced reality. We embraced the discipline of anticipation. We understood that a plan that is rigid is a plan that is brittle. A plan that cannot bend will break. We rejected the amateur's mistake of packing a schedule from minute to minute. Instead, we embraced the professional's wisdom of leaving margin. We learned that margin is not empty time. It is strategic time. It is our shock absorber. It is our time savings account. It is the flexibility that allows us to handle the inevitable, unexpected challenges with grace, and to seize the rare, unexpected opportunities with confidence. We built a skyscraper that can sway in the wind, not a glass tower that shatters at the first sign of friction. With our resilient plan in place, we turned inward. We confronted the most important discipline of all, the discipline of the mind. We learned that our plan, no matter how brilliant, is useless if the builder is not willing to build. Our attitude, our mindset, is the fuel. We learned that what we focus on expands. We learned to stand guard at the door of our mind, to reject the poison of cynicism and negativity. We learned to consciously tune our minds to the frequency of opportunity and solutions. And we learned the simple, profound, practical tool to reset our entire being, the anchor of gratitude. We learned to start from a place of abundance, not a place of lack, knowing that a mind in a state of gratitude cannot simultaneously be in a state of stress or fear. And finally, we closed the loop. We embraced the discipline of review. We learned that a week unexamined is a lesson unlearned. We refused to be the person who lives the same year 20 times over. We committed to becoming the architect who inspects the foundation. We committed to sitting down at the end of the week and asking the hard, honest questions. What worked? Why? Where did my discipline fail? Why? What did I learn? And what will I do differently? We learned to turn our experience into equity, to convert our failures into lessons, and to use our successes as a formula to be repeated. We learned to make our past serve our future. This is the system. Do you see? It is not a list of 5 different tips. It is a single, integrated flywheel. Your clarity tells you what to design. Your design is protected by your anticipation. Your anticipation gives you the emotional space to maintain your mindset. Your mindset allows you to have an honest review, and your review sharpens your clarity for the next week. Each discipline feeds the next. When this flywheel is spinning, you are not just managing your week. You are building momentum. You are compounding your growth. And now, we come back to the original transcript, the original seed of this idea. Progress, not perfection. I must tell you, this is the final key that unlocks the entire philosophy. You will not do this perfectly. You will not have a perfect week. Next week, or the week after, you will fail. You will have a week where your discipline of design collapses. You will have a week where you forget your discipline of mindset and you live in reaction and negativity. You will have a week where you are too busy to do your discipline of review. It is not about doing everything perfectly. It is about making progress. It is about being 1% better. It is about catching yourself when you fail and using the discipline of review to ask, okay, that was a failure. What is the lesson? How do I make next week 51% good instead of 49% bad? That is what we all want. Is it not? Progress. Success is not about doing everything perfectly. It is about making progress, step by step, week by week. It is about the person you become in the process. This system is not just about getting more things done. It is about becoming the person who can handle more. It is about becoming the person who is in control, who is focused, who is resilient, who is positive, and who is wise. It is a system for personal transformation. So, take the time to prepare. The week is going to pass. Whether you are prepared or not, the clock is going to tick. The sun will rise on Monday, and it will set on Friday. That is a given. That is the constant, the only variable, the only thing in this entire equation that you have any control over is you. It is your preparation. It is your design. It is your philosophy. You will be the one who shows up on Monday morning with a purpose, with a plan, with a design, while the rest of the world is waking up to see what happens. You will be the one who, on Friday, looks back at a week of accomplishment, not just a week of activity. You will be the architect who is laying the bricks for your cathedral, one intentional week at a time, while others are just tossing their bricks in a pile and wondering why they have no shelter. The choice is yours. The tools are in your hands. The philosophy is clear. My question to you is, what will you do with it? Do not just wish for a good week. Make a good week. We have spent this time together exploring these disciplines. We have talked about the principles for a life of purpose, a life of achievement, and a life of profound personal power. This conversation is the very heart of this channel. If this philosophy, this way of thinking, this commitment to being the architect of your own life resonates with you, if you are tired of being a victim of circumstance, if you are serious about your own growth and ready to apply these disciplines, then I invite you to join us. This is not just a channel. This is a community. This is a gathering of architects. That subscribe button is more than just a button. It is a declaration. It is a statement. It is your signature on a new contract with yourself. It is the first action of your new commitment. By subscribing, you are saying, I am no longer available for a life of default. I am no longer a passenger. I am the captain. I am the architect. I am here to design. So, I invite you, subscribe to this channel, join this community, and let us walk this path of discipline and progress and mastery together. Now, take these ideas, go sit down, and begin to design your week.